Today on So Sonic, we're talking about the new Colter album, Memories and Empties. If you like music and discussing it, make sure to like and subscribe. But thank you for watching, and let's get into Memories and Empties by Colter. Now, I've been a big Colter fan since his first EP in 2015, Imaginary Appalachia. And on that album, he definitely took a lot of inspiration from outlaw country, like stuff like Waylon Jennings, and also some like Appalachian traditional stuff like Nimrod Workman and stuff of that nature. You can hear some of these Appalachian traditional influences from tracks like Johnny Boy's Bones, a very haunting folk tune, and then songs like The Devil Wears a Suit and Tie, Sleeping on the Blacktop, very outlaw country vibes there. Now, over the years with his new releases, Colter has kind of evolved away from the outlaw slash Appalachian traditional sound into a more of a neo-traditional type country style that is a little more popular nowadays with artists like Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson, Turnpike Troubadours, what have you. And although I'm a big fan of the revival of the traditional country sound, I'm a huge fan of traditional classic country, as you can tell by this Hank Williams poster beside me. But at the same time, I do really like what Colter brought to the table in terms of his uniqueness, obviously his very recognizable, iconic voice, with his more outlaw style country early on in his career. And I'm not saying that this album is a disappointment or anything like that. It's a great album, but I do hope that in the future he might return to some of these sounds that he first kind of got popular off of. But as for this album itself, it kicks off very strongly with a very upbeat track titled 1800 Miles. Pretty straightforward country tune. This track kind of gives me like Waylon Jennings slash Merle Haggard vibes. And the instrumentation on this track is very rich. It has a piano, it has a steel guitar, it has a harmonica, an organ, and that's a common theme throughout this album. It has very, very rich and beautiful instrumentation. A very eclectic collection of different instruments, which I really appreciate. This whole album is kind of a combination of a lot of upbeat country tunes with a good mix of some ballads, some slower songs in there. The second track on the album, My Present Just Gets Past Me, is very reminiscent of Randy Travis or Conway Twitty, a very 80s and 70s sort of country sound. And then there's the song The Longer You Hold On, which in my opinion has George Strait written all over it. It sounds like a lesser known George Strait hit. And then there's the slow waltz, the title track Memories and Empties, with great solos woven all into it, and it's probably the least ornate, if you will, song in this track list, but it's still very good. Colter can most certainly hold his own without the help of bright and busy instrumentals. And while we're on the topic, one thing that did kind of throw me off about this album was the pacing. The flow of it is a little bit odd. It seems like it goes from like an upbeat song, like a song that you'd probably listen to on a road trip across the country to the west or something, to a ballad, a slow ballad, and it's kind of just, it gives you a little bit of whiplash, It seems like this album could have flowed a little bit better. For instance, I think the third track, Like the Hills, probably could have been the second track. It seems like a good follow-up to the intro track, 1800 Miles. But instead, what we get is this track and the intro track sandwiched between a ballad, a slower song. And it doesn't flow as well as I feel like it could. Another slight drawback to this album is that there's not much variety, I'll be honest. It seems like the formula of upbeat to ballad to upbeat to ballad is kind of repeated throughout this whole entire album. As a result, you're going to get songs that start to blend in with the rest of the track list. They don't stand out as much. The weaker songs are the obvious weak link in the chain, if you will, which is also part of the reason why I hope Colter goes back to his roots in later releases, back to the outlaw Appalachian traditional style of sound. Because I feel like there's a lot more creative possibility in that realm of country music. Because if you think about it, any good country artist worth their salt today could make like a neo-traditional type album for, a 45-minute album or whatnot. But Colter has this X factor to him. Given his voice, he sounds like a weathered sailor, of 80 years of age. But he's like 30 years old, and he sounded like this since his early 20s. And I feel like there's a lot more potential for his style of vocals in his earlier style of work. But with all that being said, this is still a great album. The closing track, Summer Wages, is a great song. I understand that it's the only track that Colter himself did not write on this album. I believe it was written by Ian Tyson. It's a great song. It kind of sounds like a song off of Colter's last album called Let's All Help the Cowboys Sing the Blues, especially the chorus part. But regardless of that, it's still a fantastic tune. It's very catchy, probably one of the catchiest on the album. And as I said before, the highlight of this album for me is how rich and beautiful and ornate all of the instrumentals are. There is a plethora of different instruments with different timbres, different sounds for you to choose from. There's organs, pianos, violins, harmonicas, what have you. And I also think this album is a great homage to classic country sounds, classic country artist styles like the aforementioned Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, George Strait, Randy Travis, etc. So aside from a few weak tracks and overall kind of odd pacing, this is a great album in my opinion. My favorite tracks would include Summer Wages, My Present Just Gets Past Me, and It's Getting So That a Man Can't Go Into Town Just to Have Him a Drink. Very, very long title there. And my least favorite tracks would probably be 4/4 Time and Back to Me. I think I'm going to give Memories and Empties by Colter Wall an 81 out of 100. But let me know what you think about this album down in the comments. If you liked this review, make sure to like and subscribe. If you hated this review, make sure to call me stupid in the comments and subscribe to do it again next time. But thank you for watching. I very much appreciate it.